So I know there's a big game tonight, so we'll try to get you guys out of here by 6:15. But I'd like to start with a story that I've used a couple, maybe once or twice in the past in a homily. So it may sound familiar to most of you. So there was a hardworking parish priest, after a lifetime of ministry, died and went to heaven. When he got there, he was assigned an attractive 2-bedroom house to serve as his heavenly abode. He was rather pleased with this house until he took a walk around the neighborhood and ran into a parishioner who had been a cab driver and now was living in a mansion with a swimming pool and tennis courts. The priest went directly to St. Peter to complain. He said, "I worked my whole life long serving God's people. Now this parishioner of mine is a very good person, but he was a cab driver. Why is he living in so much bigger a house than I am?" St. Peter said, "Here's how it goes. When you preached, people slept, but when he drove, people prayed." So sometimes it's hard to understand God's way in our life, and complaining about it can be dangerous. But in today's gospel, those who were hired first complained because those who worked only an hour received the same full day of pay as they did. And I can hear them saying, "Well, that's not fair." And I can certainly relate to their feelings and would probably have the same reaction as they did. This parable is not the most popular one and can be difficult for us to understand. We must realize that all this parable is doing is reflecting life as it is today. We know that the truth that life is unfair. Just ask my children. In a work situation, it is easy to look at someone who has a higher position than you and say, "Well, that's unfair. She is no smarter than I am. My work is as good as hers. So why does she get the bigger office and the higher salary?" Same perspective applies with relationships. We can say, "It's not fair. I love my friends as much as he or she does, and maybe even more. Then why is it that they choose to be with him or her and before me to visit?" It applies in families. We can say, "I love my children as much as those people love their children. I spend as much time with my children as they do. Then why is it that their children are brighter, better behaved, make friends easier, make wise decisions over foolish ones?" But at some point in life, we may have been told that the harder we work, the more successful we will be. We all know people who are working 2, maybe 3 jobs to try and make ends meet, but are still struggling to support their family. We would also like to think that those with the most talent are those most respected and compensated. A good example of this is the pay difference between a professional football player and our school teachers. It takes talent to play football at the professional level, but our teachers, they devote their lives to instructing our children. While a talented football player may make a really great play, help the team win, and delight the fans, our school teachers, they work tirelessly to form the next generation of leaders in our community. What they do, if done well, that the possibility that may affect many generations to come. We may also think that good people who try to live their lives honestly would have easier lives. But we know honest people who have terrible crosses to bear. We may know families that have never been able to recover after reading their parents' will. Either they all received the same when some children expected to receive more, or some children received more than what others thought they should receive the same. So the first thing we think of in these situations is, well, it's just not fair. But the truth is, life is not fair. We all know people that constantly complain. It could be about how hot it is, the unfairness of a promotion at work, or even their favorite team losing a game. I know I've complained about a lot of things, and mostly to my wife. It says to, not about. These complaints can range from something as trivial as not having any soda to me whining about something that's happened in my life. She listens, but I'm not sure she actually hears me. I think she just pretends to hear me and goes on with whatever she was doing. And there's been times I've had conversations with her and she had her ear thingies in, the ear pods, iPods, whatever they are. At times, I know I am ungrateful for what I have. And sometimes I get upset at situations that are happening in my life. And usually the first thing I'll do is complain to someone. So recently, I was reading a book and I got hit upside the head, figuratively, of course. And it put all my problems for me into perspective. It said something there, but it reminded me that there are people who went to sleep last night who were rich, maybe poor, black, white, Hispanic, mom, dad, who will never wake up again. They had plans for today, for tomorrow, next week, etc. And every one of those who died would give all that they had just for one more day. And this really put everything into perspective to me about why am I complaining? I woke up this morning. So what is it that you complain about? Maybe your spouse, your children, parents, job, or even your team losing tonight. If we complain about something we don't like, we need to change it. If it is something that we can't change, then we need to change the way we think about it. The bottom line is, don't be a complainer, because the only thing that complaining will do is rob you of precious time that you have in this life. Life is simply too short for complaints. So when I start complaining, I'm going to remember the words the landowner said. Just take what belongs to you and go. Live the life you have been given, not the life you wish you had been given, not the life that other people have been given. Live your life fully, because complaining will only diminish you. It will only lessen you. The good news is this, that life may seem unfair, but God is in charge, and God knows exactly what we need and will not forget any of us. If we take the life that we have been given, even if others have been given more than us, and live it, we will find that it is enough. For once we choose to live our own lives, we will discover that we have not been shortchanged or cheated. We will realize that every one of us has been given a full day's wage.